Hello, this is Andrew Byrne, Andrew's Creations. So today I'll be doing a little bit of Python coding. Python is a pretty versatile and easy to use coding language, and I'm going to program a game for you guys that you can follow along with and do yourself. So the compiler that I'm using, or basically the code runner, is program is. See that highlighted text? Just type that into your web browser and you'll go onto the same site. It'll look exactly like this, except there will be some stuff here on the left. You can just highlight that and delete it. And you type your code in here, press run, and the stuff comes out here. So Python isn't exactly that much of a game creating language. That's more of like C++, Java, and that sort of thing. It's more of a text language, you type in these numbers, it calculates stuff, and then it tells you the number. Or maybe it keeps track of a whole bunch of names. However, there are still a few games you can make that are actually kind of fun. And I will make one of those. So I've held you up for long enough. Let's get right into it. So the first thing we want to type in is import random. Import random? That's a little weird. Well, basically what it's telling the compiler is that we need to make some random numbers. So normally Python doesn't make random numbers. However, people are editing Python every day and growing the language and making it even better. And so this is just telling the computer to edit itself, its code and all that, so that it can make random numbers. And now, next, we need to make a variable called number. What is a variable? It's an integer, a float point number, which is a decimal, or a word, sentence, something like that, that the computer stores. So, in order to make it, you type in the name of your variable, equals, and then whatever. You could type in 3.1, that would be a float point number. You could type in 3, which is an integer, or you could type in blah, 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 which would be a string. Now, there are other things you can do with it too. For example, you could do math problems like 2 plus 2, and it would store 4 to number. Also, you can store a random number to it. So, random dot rand range 1, 1001. So what this is doing is it's creating a random number between 1 and 1000 and storing it to the variable number. 1 and 1000, you're saying? But it looks like it's 1 and 1001. Well, that's because whenever you're doing a range in Python, it includes the first number, the lower one, but it doesn't include the last one. It just includes the numbers going up to it. And so we have to add 1 to it. And now, let's do another variable, guesses. So what this will keep track of is how many times a user has guessed a number, since this is a number guessing game. Anyway, guesses is equal to 0. Right now, the user hasn't guessed anything, and so it's equal to 0. And now, guess. This is the number that the user will actually put into the program as a guess. However, the user hasn't done anything yet, and so why are we storing it as being 0? Well, that's just to give the computer something to calculate with, because we're going to be mentioning the variable guess in the program later on, before we actually have the user put anything in to the computer. And so it just acts as a placeholder, basically. And now we need to give the user some instructions. So, in order to do this, we must output we must output something onto the screen. So in order to do this, we use print. Anyway, you could output a number, decimal, or you could output a string, like I'm doing right now. So let's type in some instructions. This is a number guessing game. I am thinking of a number between 1 and 1,000. Each time you guess my number, I will tell you if you are too high, too low, or correct. Try to guess my number with the least amount of guesses possible. Press enter to continue. Okay, the reason why I said press enter to continue is because that's exactly what the user will have to do once they've read this. Basically gives a user time to read stuff before it starts the program. In order to make it so that they can press enter to continue, you just type in input. And the reason why I do that is because in order to continue with the program, see, input stops the code until you press enter or type stuff in and then press enter. So that's basically what it's doing. Now we need to use a while loop. What's a while loop? Well, a while loop runs a section of code again and again and again on Python until finally a certain parameter is met. So in order to format this, we must type in while and then your parameters. So in this case, I want to make it so that this section of code is repeated over and over again until the user's guess is the same thing as the actual number that the computer has randomly generated. And so while guess is exclamation mark equal to number. What does exclamation mark and equal sign mean? Well, that's just basically how we type in Python not equal to. Now add in that colon. And then we need to store a variable guess to from the user's input. So guess is equal to, just like normal. Then we do int input, put your number here. Well, why do we have to use int? That's a little weird. Why can't we just use input? Well, the reason why is because computers are pretty dumb. Okay? I mean, they are very smart, but they don't have any common sense. Unless, of course, it's an AI thingamajig. But I don't have an AI. I have a Chromebook. So, yeah. Anyway, what this says is it tells computer that whatever the person puts into it, the code, puts into the program right here, it will not be a sentence. It won't be a float point number. It will be an integer, a number. So it's just telling the computer that. Anyway, now we need to use an if-then sequence. In order to do this, we structure it kind of like the while loop. If guess is less than number. So what this is saying is run this code if the person's guess is smaller than the computer's randomly generated number. Now we need to do print too low. It's just outputting onto the screen that the user guessed a number that's too low. And now we need to have another one of those if-then sequences. If guess is greater than number, print too high. And that's basically the same thing, except if the guess is bigger than the number, you need to output that the number is too high. And now finally one more. If guess is equal to number, print break. Wait, no. We don't print break, sorry. We just break. So why do we have two equal signs? I don't know. Python's weird. But it basically means the same thing. If the guess is the same thing as the randomly generated number, break. Well, what does break mean? No, we are not breaking the user's legs or crashing their computer. We're just getting out of this while loop. Remember when we're in a while loop. And so this just gets out of it. And that's because all of this while loop is used for determining if the user's number is too high or too low. But what if it's the same thing? Well, we need to run some more code, but that needs to be outside of the loop. Anyway, we haven't gone out of the loop yet, though, since we need to type in how we update the guesses. This keeps track of how many times the user has guessed. So the way we do that is we type in guesses is equal to guesses plus 1. That just adds 1 onto the amount of guesses we already have. And now we can get outside of this loop. Anyway, once the user has finished, we need to output both that they're correct and also the amount of guesses that they did. So we print correct and then print guesses, comma, guesses. So why do we have it as these two things? We have both a string and an integer in here. Well, that's because we can actually do that in Python. In fact, I could have two different strings, maybe add in a float point number, as long as you format it correctly with a comma and a space. And we should be done. But we aren't quite done yet, since we have to test this program. So we click on Run. Everything seems pretty good so far. So let's hit Enter to continue. And now we need to put in the number. So I'm going to guess 500. That's too high. 250. Too high again. 200. Too low. 225. Too low. 230. Too high. 227. Correct. Wow, that's actually a new best of mine. So yeah, I got 5 guesses. Let me know down in the comments if you can beat that, because that's pretty good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to. If you don't, it won't hurt me. I just hope you're enjoying my content. Well, even though I don't have really that much of it yet. Don't worry, I'll get more at some point, hopefully. And you might also want to let me know if you want to figure out how to do a Pig Latin program. It translates English to Pig Latin. I made it, and I kind of want to show you guys how to do it, but I'm not sure if you want to continue on with this Python thing or not. I think it's pretty cool, but just let me know. And that's it. Bye.